Good evening, I'm Sylvia Singh, a master's student at Center for Middle Eastern Studies here at Harvard University. It's my very great pleasure to welcome you all here tonight to the FATIMA BHUTTO speaking on power, politics and violence in contemporary Pakistan, in light of the new book, Songs of Blood and Soul. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the sponsors of this talk, in particular the Center for Middle Eastern Studies, our co-sponsors, the Middle East Initiative, the Carr Center for Human Rights Policy, the Harvard Kennedy and the Harvard Kennedy School, as well as the Prince Walid bin Talal Islamic Studies program. Also a special thanks to Paul Beran, Henry Rantisi and Cliff Gardner for their efforts. Now, Fatima, it's an absolute honor to have you speaking here tonight, and we look forward to hearing from you. Now, like many in the audience, I suspect Fatima BHUTTO needs little introduction. Belonging to one of the world's most famous political dynasties, her book is a revelatory portrait of a family which shaped modern-day Pakistan. Beyond the insightful commentary on Pakistan's rambunctious political scene, the book also details the tragic narratives of her grandfather's death, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, her father's death, Murtaza Ali Bhutto, and also most recently the assassination of her aunt, Benazir Bhutto, also former Prime Minister of Pakistan. A poet and writer, Fatima graduated summa cum laude from Columbia University, focusing on further studies at the School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London. Since returning to Karachi, she has contributed regularly to the local and foreign press. Importantly, she has been a vociferous critic of corruption in Pakistani society. Most recently, she has highlighted the ineptitude of the Pakistani government in dealing with the catastrophic floods in Pakistan last month. On a personal note, Fatima doesn't like running but loves Lebanese sweets. So tonight's event will consist of a short talk followed by a question and answer session. At 6:30 p.m. there'll be a book signing at the Harvard Co-op Bookshop on Massachusetts Avenue. Can you please help me in enthusiastically welcoming Fatima BHUTTO?
Thank you to all of you for coming and for all the wonderful sponsors. Strangely, there are people in the audience here who I knew from Syria growing up, from SOAS at university, randomly, so I might grin maniacally at you. It's not personal. It's just because I'm excited and confused at the same time. I thought I would start just by talking about dynasty. Everywhere I go, it seems that people connect dynasty instantly with Pakistan when it is a blight on South Asia, really. You have dynasty in India, in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, Nepal, and what you have also is a history not only of dynasty, but of violent assassinations, assassinations of public figures in all these countries. Again, whether you're looking at the Gandhis, you're looking at the Bandaranaike's in Sri Lanka, and one particular case that I think highlights really how these two are interconnected is the case of Mujibur Rahman, the founder of Bangladesh. When Mujibur Rahman was killed, along with him, his wife was assassinated, his two elder sons were assassinated, their two wives were assassinated, and his 9-year-old boy, his 9-year-old son, along with the rest of the family. The people who led Mujib's killing remained in power for some 30 years. It's only very recently that they were brought to justice and held accountable for their actions. And one of the men, a soldier, a senior member of the army, was asked once why it was necessary that they had to kill the 9-year-old boy. And he answered, he said, well, we couldn't let him live. We had to kill him because they were building a dynasty. But it's not just dynasties that share this experience of violence. It's also millions of citizens in all these countries face assassinations on a daily basis that get no notice in any of the foreign press or even in the local press. Journalists being killed in Sri Lanka. Those of you following Pakistan will know that just last month Habib Jalib, who was a lawyer, a secular activist in Balochistan, was gunned down outside his home, and there are no answers. There is no pause because violence has become a part of our political ethics. And I thought what I would do is, do you guys mind readings or do you not want readings? Okay. Are we fine? Sometimes you read and everyone sort of looks at you and goes to sleep. But the family story really starts with my grandfather, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and he comes to power at a time when there is an extraordinary imagination for Pakistan. It's under his government that the last comprehensive land reforms are carried out, though not completed. The first and only constitution is written in 1973, and it's a constitution that remains in tatters. You have Pakistan moving away from being a client state to a country that is now seeking bilateral foreign relations. You have Pakistan hosting the second ever Islamic conference in Lahore, and the citizens of Lahore are asked to open up their homes to the delegates that are coming from all over the world. And one of the fun facts that I always like to talk about is the fact that they had to open their homes because Idi Amin of Uganda came uninvited and with a very large entourage. But Zulfikar Ali Bhutto made mistakes. We have a tendency to lionize public figures, I suppose, all over the world, but nowhere is that more true than Pakistan. And he expanded his powers at the cost of the constitution. Like all other leaders before him and all others after him, used force in the gas-rich province of Balochistan. And he isolated himself from his power base. He promoted the man who would kill him over the heads of more deserving generals because he felt he would be a pliant figure. And in 1977 he was overthrown in a coup d'etat and put to death 2 years later. And I thought I would read you just two small sections. The first is a letter that he wrote from his death cell. And the second is on Rawalpindi. So this is part of a book that was printed, a legal rejoinder that was printed called If I Am Assassinated. And in it, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto writes, I have been hemmed in by its sordidness and stink throughout the heat and rain of the long, hot summer. The light is poor, and my eyesight has worsened. My health has been shattered, and I have been in solitary confinement for almost a year. But my morale is high, because I am not made of the wood which burns easily. Through sheer willpower and conditions that are adverse in the extreme, I have written this rejoinder. Let all the white papers come. I do not have to defend myself at the bar of public opinion. Ordinarily, I would not have bothered to reply to the tissue of lies contained in this disgusting document. And this is the document that alleged he was responsible for murder, that he was a bad Muslim, and anything really that they could put in there. But the circumstances are not ordinary. A principle is involved. The principle of the right of reply. And as I have said at the trial in Lahore, forget the fact that I have been the President and Prime Minister of Pakistan. Forget the fact that I am the leader of the premier party of this country. Forget all those things. But I am a citizen of this country, and I am facing a murder trial. And even the ordinary citizen, and I consider myself one, is not denied justice. Rawalpindi, situated in the Potra Plateau, is a short distance from Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. It is and has always been a garrison city, home to the Raj's British forces, and since independence, the Pakistani army. Rawalpindi sits higher up than the land surrounding it, instantly cooler and breezier. But it has a sinister reputation, at least amongst politicians. It was once the home of the exiled 19th century Afghan king, Shuja Shah. It is where the man Muhammad Ali Jinnah had appointed as Pakistan's first prime minister, Liaquat Ali Khan, was assassinated. And it is where the army had taken Zulfikar Ali Bhutto to die. Almost 30 years after his murder, his eldest child, Benazir, would also lose her life in Rawalpindi. Rawalpindi jail, however, has long since been destroyed. Zia razed it to the ground in the 1980s, wary of its potential to become a Bhuttoist symbol. Only one of the prison's original walls remains now, old red bricks covered with a deep green ivy. The rest of Rawalpindi jail has been turned into a shopping mall. Situated